boxers, trainers, fight fans, and the Pacquiao faithful. This is the No Decision Podcast. It is I, Wes Ibarra, and there's your Joy Villapando. Tonight, we got some cap with the Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury debacle. Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor fought last night for the undisputed junior welterweight title in Las Vegas. Manny Pacquiao is coming back to fight Errol Spence Jr. in August. And coming up this weekend, Devin Haney, Jorge Linares. Going to take a quick break. And when we return, we're going to talk about Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. So much for that big fight in August. Last week we said it was the 7th or the 14th. Joy, you said no cap. I said cap. Guess what? I came out on top on that one. But earlier this week, a judge ruled in favor of Deontay Wilder. So now this fall, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury 3 will take place, while the WBO in response has ordered Alexander Usyk to be the mandatory challenger to Anthony Joshua.
All right.
So Deontay Wilder is back in the fold. Whoop the fucking do.
Yes, absolutely. We kind of jinxed it, Wes, right?
I don't think we jinxed it. We just know how the business works.
I guess. Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys were listening to last week's podcast, we pretty much said that, I said that it's for sure, that it was pretty much set. It seems as though the ink was on the paper. It was already dry. And then out of nowhere, Deontay Wilder comes in, bashes the door, and says, "I object."
Nah, this is WWE. He came in with the fake plastic chair and hit whomever over the head with it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So and like I said, Wes, I actually thought that I totally forgot about Deontay Wilder's hearing. I totally forgot about it. I knew it was still an ongoing process, but I thought it was going to take a little bit longer. I thought it was going to take probably in the winter, reach into the winter, but yeah, no, I totally forgot about it. But yeah, I'm kind of excited, right? Of course, we don't get the fight we want to see, but it does spawn a little, 2 more fights that we could possibly watch. And so, yeah, I mean, I would say the no cap part is, it's Deontay Wilder versus Fury, but AJ and Usyk, because they are mandatory. So I think those 2 fights are definitely no cap. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of just see, to watch. But yeah, I think this will even generate, if 2 of the favorite guys that we want to see fight, if they both win their respective fights, I think it's gonna even generate more interest. So yeah, I'm excited.
I tell you what, man, I think the heavyweight division has now become NCAA basketball. It's now a playoff tournament.
It is now a playoff tournament. I absolutely agree. It seems as though everyone that is fighting in the heavyweight division has a chance to be a future challenger for whichever belt,
Yeah, I know, and it just really took a weird turn, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see how the scheduling turns out and
Yeah.
when and how things will go. But yeah, we now have a Fury versus Wilder 3 and a Usyk versus Joshua. And I would throw caution into the wind if Fury versus Wilder 3 goes by the wayside, because say Deontay Wilder does the unimaginable, then it's just going to make things harder.
Oh no, absolutely. I was about to say this, Wes. Malik Scott is the new trainer for Deontay Wilder, and it seems as though, through the videos that I've been seeing in his Instagram, it seems as though Malik Scott is doing something that Deontay Wilder kind of lacked in the first 2 fights against and against Tyson Fury. They're going back to the basics. They're going back to pretty much Just basic boxing skills and basic boxing kind of fundamentals. And to beat Fury, you need fundamentals, right? And hopefully Deontay Wilder doesn't go up in weight. I think he should stay in 215, 220. That's where he usually fought anyway. Don't go up into 245. I think that was the worst idea that they could have done. He was pound for pound probably the hardest hitter, and he was knocking out guys that were 230, 240, and he was only weighing 215. So yeah, I do think that Deontay might surprise a lot of people. I think he's going to be a little bit technically sound. But yeah, I think the other way as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk kind of surprised AJ a little bit. I think Usyk is quite a skilled fighter, but I will kind of give it the edge to AJ. I think he's a little bit more. He has a little bit more of a reach. And he's taller, a lot stronger as well. Keep in mind, guys, Usyk is coming from the cruiserweight, so he's not, he's not I guess you could say he's not attuned to fighting at 200 pounds. And so I think that's his biggest disadvantage. So it'll be interesting where Usyk kind of weighs in at fight night. So yeah,
For sure. For sure. But yeah, that the heavyweight division has just gotten that much more interesting. So to recap, AJ Fury not happening, at least right now. We now have a Fury Wilder 3 and an AJ versus Usyk. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we're going to talk about the junior welterweight unification bout between Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. We'll be right back. Welcome back, boxers, trainers, fight fans. We're now going to talk about the undisputed junior welterweight bout between Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor, Las Vegas bubble, and ESPN Plus or ESPN regular. And this was supposed to be a big fight because all 4 belts on the line. Josh Taylor from Scotland, Jose Ramirez from California. There's a track record of UK boxers not doing well in American soil.
yeah,
I wasn't really expecting much out of Josh Taylor. I actually wanted Jose Ramirez to win. And he was doing well up until the middle rounds of the fight. Then he ran into a buzzsaw.
yeah.
He got knocked down twice in consecutive rounds.
Yep.
Managed to, I guess, hold his own the rest of the way.
Right.
But a lot of good moments for both guys. The 2 big moments for Josh Taylor being those 2 knockdowns, very square. The first one was a momentum. The second one was right off the clinch.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
And for a while, it looked like Ramirez could have been waved off, but somehow he endured. Kind of like you said, Joy, because you and I were watching this fight together remotely. Fighting instinctively is what kept them in and kept them upright the rest of the way.
Absolutely.
But it ended up being a 114, 112 all around unanimous decision for a new undisputed junior welterweight champion of the world from Scotland, Josh Taylor.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to Josh Taylor. I also believe he is the very first UK-based fighter that has united all 4 belts at his respected division. So yeah, congrats to Josh Taylor. And so yeah, let's get into it. I think one of the biggest weaknesses for Ramirez coming in was that he led with his head all the time. So like we were talking right, Wes. You pretty much mentioned it. I thought that Ramirez, when he fights instinctively, when he kind of just goes through the motion, he is a better fighter. It seems as though early on he was he was boxing a little bit more in the early stages. That's why he kind of took that 3-1 rounds like lead into the fight. And then the very thing he's very known for is leading with his head. He got caught, right? He got caught with a straight left hand by Taylor, drops him. he pretty much folded straight down, which usually when you fall straight down, it's you're hurt. You're pretty much hurt. If you fall backwards, you might be okay. If you roll backwards, you might be okay. But falling straight forward, that means you lost balance. You're leaning forward. That means you walked into it, right? You walked into the punch, and that's exactly what happened to Ramirez. He walked straight into Taylor's punch. I think Taylor was pretty much just looking for that shot the entire night. He finally got it, and it swung the momentum one way. The next round, I believe it was the sixth round, Ramirez was starting to reestablish himself, and then he pretty much committed a cardinal sin in boxing. Don't separate. Okay, if you're the guy that's clinching, don't separate unless it is the referee separating you, right? Because
he tried to pull a fight night.
Yeah, so he allowed Taylor to push him off, and then Taylor pretty much just caught him with a beautiful uppercut. And Kenny Bayless was about to step in, but this is why Kenny Bayless is actually one of the best referees. He didn't step in right away. He kind of he understood that the fighters had free hands. You could work the inside, and so it was a beautiful shot. And I will say, I don't agree with the judges 114 112. I thought there was some rounds that I gave more to Taylor. I thought it's probably more a 116 110, I guess. 116 110. But it just showed, right? So the unanimous decision went to 114 112. So pretty much the two knockdowns were the main difference in the fight.
Yeah, so, well, that's the thing, though, right? Because then if it weren't for the two knockdowns, then all three judges would have had it 114 114.
Yeah. So we would have run it back.
No, I think they're going to run it back anyway.
Oh, okay.
That you kind of led me into what my expectations would be for both Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. I think they're going to do it again.
Okay.
Because in a way, like even with the scorecards from Andre Ward,
right.
Even for me, I thought the fight was pretty close.
Yeah, absolutely.
I sure you probably didn't agree with the judges, but I did.
No,
that's very rare.
I think it was a close fight. I think round per round, it could have gone either way, but there were some more rounds where I gave to Taylor, is what I'm trying to say. I think
so you would have. Then that means you would have scored the fight then. So if you gave Taylor 116, then it is 110. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So, oh my God. Either way, no matter how you look at it, that's still pretty close.
It's pretty close. Yeah, absolutely.
116, 112, 115, 113. That is a very, very sensitive. That's a very sensitive range to say that. Oh, no doubt. But what is no doubt is that you have a reason to do it again.
No, absolutely. But that's the thing, right? I mean, and then all of a sudden, Bobby Arum comes out of nowhere, starts saying, "Oh, Josh Taylor wants to fight Terrence Budd. He wants to go up in weight, and Mikey Garcia would love to fight Josh Taylor." Now, Josh Taylor has this, I guess he has to have a massive target on his back. But yeah, I agree with you, Wes. I'd rather see him and Ramirez fight again. I feel like Ramirez, if he kind of just works on the fundamentals, not his fundamentals, but just kind of clean things up. Like I said, he did make a rookie mistake off the clinch. If he just cleans it up, I think the fight would have been a lot closer. So yeah, and he's got a pretty good trainer to do it too, Robert Garcia, who's pretty good at adjusting his fighters.
I mean, that's how. I mean, granted, when we were kids, that's how it's supposed to be. When it was a close fight, yeah, immediate rematch. But no, everyone wants to say, "Oh, that's it. I beat him."
Yeah.
And you call him Bobby Arum, I call him Frog Arum. You know what? I wish I could put in bits here, but I need The Rock to tell Frog Arum what I want to tell him when he says his fighters want to do this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
Especially with what happened with Joshua and Fury.
Yeah. I mean, I think Bob Arum only wants to put Terrence Bud Crawford against Josh Taylor because Josh Taylor was pulling in pretty big crowds, right? Like, I mean, of course, right? Scotland is going to be right behind Josh Taylor. And Bob Arum has admitted that uh, Omaha, but Terrence Bud Crawford he's struggling to fill seats with Terrence Bud Crawford. And so, yeah, I mean, it might just be kind of like, this fight that generates a little bit more money for Arum's pocket, but yeah, I'd rather see him. I'd rather see Josh Taylor versus Ramirez or Josh Taylor versus Mikey Garcia because I think those are good fights.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
It's kind of like, yeah, you kind of want him fighting either a top tier, a 140 contender,
yeah,
or a 140 former champion,
right,
or yeah, or do this again
yeah,
and have some more fun. So instead of round one, it's round 13.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's definitely no
Uh,
feeling up process in the second
for
fight.
sure, for sure, and we'll leave it there. So yeah, shouts to Josh Taylor, 18-0. Ramirez falls to 26-1.
Mm.
And before we move on, I do want to say that there were milestones to be had. So Taylor being from the UK, Ramirez would have been the first unified champion
Yeah,
that's American because he registers as American.
right. Yeah,
So that would have been big too. But hey, both guys gave a good show, despite the two knockdowns in the consecutive rounds. We're gonna take another quick timeout. When we come back, we're gonna talk about Pac-Man versus the Truth. Stick stick to us. We'll be right back. Boxers, trainers, fight fans. We got a big fight on the 21st of August. It is the oldest active welterweight champion, our pride and joy from the Philippines, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, against some guy who crashed a Ferrari and was supposed to finish fake Drake or fake Clay Thompson, but didn't for whatever odd reason. Errol Spence Jr. for Spence's two belts, unification bout in Las Vegas, Nevada. Oh boy. Oh frickin' boy, Joy.
Mhm.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be yeah. It's gonna be interesting fight. Interesting fight. I will tip my hat off to Pacquiao. At the age of 42, he's still fighting the best out there. And so yeah, a lot of respect to Pacquiao.
Something tells me, Joy, I have never placed a bet in my life. I mean, I've done the little petty bets like, oh, if you win Snickers bar
Right,
or free lunch,
right.
but not that money line shit
Yeah. You
or
feel
whatever else, that parlay, whatever else.
you feeling this
Well,
one?
parlay means I gotta like combine like everything else. So like, let's say August.
Yeah.
So what? I'm gonna have to bet on what Justin Fields' preseason debut, or something like that,
Yeah, yeah.
or Zach Wilson's, or Trevor Lawrence's, or Tim Tebow makes a team. I don't know.
So you
Uh,
you feeling this one? You feeling this one?
I'm feeling this one.
Okay.
I'm feeling this one. So a part of me feels like I'm the only guy left
Yeah.
that's willing to back
Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, something about it it's just this feeling,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that I think that Pacquiao can win. I'm not saying he's going to finish Spence,
Right.
but he's going to do just enough to win.
Okay. Yeah.
And like, who's very good at taking O's? Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Who
Yeah.
has been fighting very reluctantly recently? Errol Spence Jr.
Yeah.
He should have finished DSG, but for whatever reason he didn't.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. But yeah. Yeah.
But I'm feeling this one. Something tells me I should bet some type of money on this one.
You should.
But then again, hey, this is coming from a guy who works right next to a casino and a sports book.
Right. And so I don't know. Yeah. I mean, obviously I love Pacquiao. He was the guy that pretty much brought me into boxing. Pretty much watching him every single time he fought. The very first fight I've ever watched against Pacquiao was Pacquiao Morales 1, and that was the fight that he lost. And so yeah, but obviously being coming from a Filipino family, we had to watch him. And this also prompted me to kind of take interest in some of the undercards, some of the fighters in the undercards, and that's where pretty much I kind of fell in love with boxing. And so, yeah, I mean, of course, like I'm still a big Pacquiao fan, but I think over the years I've become more as a boxing fan, just in general. Doesn't to me doesn't really matter where you come from. If you have skill, I'll definitely I'll acknowledge it, and I'll see which who you're fighting. And study film, I guess, as best as I can. I want to tip my hat to you, Wes. I think you are, um, you're clearly a diehard fan of Pacquiao, and I think there's still a lot of people there. I don't think you're the only one left. But I do think that this is the most Pacquiao has been an underdog for a while. I generally looking at the boxing forums, people are saying that Spence should be able to win this fight. Now, I do think that Spence has a lot of respect for Pacquiao, so I don't think Spence will try to get Pacquiao out of there. um, but yeah, if you want my early prediction, I actually think Spence can win this fight. I think this is gonna be Pacquiao. Me and Jordan were talking that this is the way Pacquiao wants to go out. If he's gonna go out, he's gonna go out fighting the best. And this might be the chance for him to kind of hand the keys over to a fighter that he believes could be the future of the sport. And I think Spence is, and so I think he already is the present and the upcoming future. So the short term upcoming future. But yeah, I do think Spence is gonna win this fight. Yeah, as much as I love Pacquiao, I think he's a boxing legend. He always will, and I think going down this route, fighting just the best of welterweights, adds on to his legacy a little bit more. And nowadays, it's all about the talks of legacy between him and Mayweather. And so, him fighting Spence, if Pacquiao pulls this off, there's definitely going to be a fight between him and Terrence Bud Crawford, which would obviously just extend his legacy even further. And so, but yeah, coming out of a shock, right? This is something we did not expect. I thought his mandatory was Ugas. But yeah.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because we were talking about playoffs earlier. And just for fun, Joy, I was looking up the scorecards for Pacquiao versus Morales 1.
Yeah.
115, 113 all around.
Sure.
Yeah, well, guess what? What did I say in the last segment? When we were kids, that kind of score
is pretty close.
Demanded a rematch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, so that must mean Jose Ramirez, in our translation, Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor should rematch. Yeah. But, okay, back to the point that I'm trying to make here. What if there is a playoff at 147?
Ooh.
That Yordenis fights Terrence Bud Crawford.
Mm.
And then winners square off.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what's going to happen, right? Unfortunately, of course, it looks as though Bud might fight Ugas, but I mean, that's the thing, right? Yeah, I mean, of course, if it's Spence and Bud that end up becoming the victors of their respective fights, it's still going to be a pretty tough fight to make. We've talked about this, Wes, right? The politics just get in the way, especially between these two fighters and their respective promoters. But yeah, if it does happen, Pacquiao does pull it off, I wouldn't be surprised if Pacquiao does pull it off. Like I said, he's a boxing legend, but if he does pull it off, then of course there's only one guy left in the welterweight division, right? And that's Terrence Bud. And so I think that'll be a lot easier fight for Arum to kind of concede to.
You know what? I was also talking with your brother earlier in the week. Frog Aram doesn't want any of those boys near or those men. I should say. I'll take that back. His men,
Right.
or no, yeah, any of those men near his boy anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't matter. Let's say Pacquiao did beat Errol Spence Jr., which I would want.
Right.
I don't think it's gonna happen either way. Because he's gonna try and protect, but not protect, but as much as he could.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, I mean that's why Bob Arum, after the fight with Josh Taylor, he was going on about Josh Taylor. His next fight is gonna be Terrence Bud Crawford. He wants Terrence Bud Crawford. Well, yeah, of course, because they're the fighters that you can promote. They're the fighters in your under your house, under your roof. And so it's a lot easier for when he has to make a deal with himself, of course. And so, yeah. It's
a lot of things are easier to do by yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but Pacquiao versus Spence, as you can see, we're split there.
Right.
I'm for sure Pacquiao, while Joy over there is with the ESJ, and we're excited. At least there is a big fight in August, unlike some people.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we get fights in between August for AJ and Fury, I guess. So I guess it's a win-win. Now we
got. Well, I don't think those guys are gonna fight this summer. No.
No. But isn't Fury Wilder in July?
Oh, is it?
It's in July. So we got a July fight, we got an August fight, and hopefully Fury AJ Usyk
would be like September,
yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's also August. I also believe it's also August. They're aiming for an August.
What if they just put it in the same place in the same time, and they just told the promoters of that venue in Saudi Arabia, just change the name of one of the other guys, just erase the Fury and put Usyk over it instead. Please and thank you.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that's a good idea for for boxing to have this super event once in a while, right? Once a year, just to have champions versus champions. I mean, they do that now, but like high profile champions, have the same fight with AJ and Usyk at the same venue, the same day as Pacquiao Spence in Saudi Arabia. That'd be fun. But yeah.
That would be a long ass day at the office, because then we'd be tuning into our PCs, or maybe you and me would be at the house like at 11 in the morning, because Matchroom likes to schedule a bajillion dudes before AJ.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden keep the computer running, or take like a long ass lunch and dinner break, and then come back in for Pacquiao.
Yeah, I mean,
like, oh my god, you know how much money and time is going to be spent, and energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be nuts. We're probably not going to go outside that day, unless it's like a food run.
Yeah, it'll be like a draft day for us. But yeah, I think that would be interesting. But it looks like our upcoming months are packed with some interesting fights. So yeah,
for sure. Way to go, boxing. Way to go, sarcastically. Forgot his name already, but Queensberry and Bob Arum, sarcastically.
Yeah.
Way to go, Eddie Hearn.
Eddie Hearn,
the man.
Eddie Hearn. I was like, matchroom guy.
No, I'm happy for the matchroom guy, but not happy for the Queensberry and the top ranked guy. And then I'm happy for Al Heyman. So
somehow he's always behind things.
But I'm also not happy with the executive of Showtime, because that MF just signed Jake Paul. So that's besides the point. But yeah, Pacquiao Spence, August 21st, 2021 in Las Vegas. For the record, Las Vegas is basically a home fight for Pacquiao. Just saying. And it's a unification bout at 147. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we're going to talk about the upcoming fight this weekend, Devin Haney, Jorge Linares. Fans, this is our last part of the show tonight. Devin Haney, Jorge Linares, coming up this Saturday up in Las Vegas. Devin Haney's finally gonna get that test. I like Devin Haney. I like Jorge Linares. I think we're gonna be in for some fireworks. But to be in all honesty, though, I want Devin Haney to come out on top on this fight.
Mm,
It's gonna be
nice.
carried over to zone, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, yeah, definitely. Devin Haney, if he wins this fight, it's you know, I guess the way I see this fight is the way I saw Garcia versus Campbell. Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first test, I guess, for Haney, Devin Haney. I mean, no,
Mm-hmm.
Devin Haney has gone through his test, but this is another test for Devin Haney. Linares is one of the biggest lightweights I've seen. He's pretty big, he's pretty tall as well, and he hits pretty hard. Famously, he's probably the only guy that's ever knocked down um, Lomachenko in that weight division, and so yeah. Interesting fact, Linares. I didn't know this about him, but he trains in Tokyo, Japan. He,
Yeah, the Teiken gym.
yeah, yeah. I didn't know about that, but yeah, that's very interesting. But yeah, I guess it's interesting. I guess I brought it up because a lot of fighters fight in like or train in Big Bear or any place that has a high altitude. So I thought that was pretty interesting in Tokyo, Japan. But yeah, if Linares does win this fight, I guess is this for Devin Haney's belt by any chance? Do you know?
Let us double check that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I believe Devin Haney has the WBC or the WBO.
Yeah, I know Devin Haney is a world champion. Yes. Uh this bout is take place. Let's double check that. Da-da-da-da-do.
WBC. He's a
Yeah.
WBC
Yeah,
lightweight.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it'll defend. It'll be a defense. Yeah.
Nice,
Look at
nice.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, absolutely. So if Linares does take this, um, then of course, he's gonna want some bragging rights. I don't know who Linares fights next. Maybe Ryan Garcia might be. Uh, he might feel a little bit not better, but I'm saying like he might start to kind of clear some of the demons he's fighting at that point. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I do think that Linares is going to give him Haney a little bit of trouble, but I'm expecting Haney to win this fight as well.
Absolutely. When you're a champ, you got to come up big.
Absolutely.
And this is going to be his biggest test to date.
To date.
And god damn it, he better pass.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, if Haney wins, right? What's next for him? I guess same route, right?
Everything. Everything.
Ooh,
Everything's next for him.
nice, nice.
Because
T-
when you're a world champion, you have the target on your back, right? We've discussed this many times,
yeah. No, no, no. Yeah, absolutely. But I
especially
mean,
if it's WBC.
no, no, yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, though, right? It's interesting because Haney has this amazing opportunity to maybe move up in weight. Um, and so I guess that's what kind of what they were aiming for, anyways, with a lot of the young guys. It seems as though Teofimo is going to stay in the lightweight division for a while, but I've always had this kind of this hunch that Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney were never going to end their careers in lightweight division. They were always going to move
No.
up in welterweight, and so this might be a perfect opportunity, right? I think after he beats Linares, if he has a mandatory fight that the WBC might, um, order, that's totally fine. It'd be interesting to see who it is. It might be Fortuna, um, but yeah, it'll be interesting.
Absolutely. And what I also love about that fight is that it caps off a very good May
Yeah,
for boxing.
absolutely.
Because we had Canelo. Then we had this fight that just passed with Ramirez and Taylor. And now we got this.
Right.
We're spoiled, man. We're spoiled. Like I said, the fans are always undefeated.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna lose our O anytime soon, if
Yeah, yeah,
ever.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just becoming a bigger boxing fan, it seems as though there's a pretty good fight almost every weekend. So Yeah, yeah, I'm excited for the future of boxing.
Absolutely. And that is our round, or that's our rounds for tonight. I want to be grammatically correct there. Those are our rounds for tonight. But before I officially turn off the lights and lock it up, I do have one thing to say here. Um, so, with some discussions that I've had with Joy, No Decision family, I have decided to, and thankfully with Joy's permission, I have decided to have my role on the show reduced. It's nothing wrong with the network. I still plan on staying within the Wes and Joy Show network, but there is a project that I'm working on the side, as well as some projects I'm working on outside of the podcasting realm here, and those are very important to me and to my success. So, of course, I want to give more time to those projects. And like I said, one of those projects is here. So stay tuned for something special later this year. But yeah, it's been fun talking the sweet science with all of you. And of course, uh, also with Joy's permission, I'll be, I guess, in the know as well as part of the evaluation process of who the next guy in the no decision seat will be. But until then, let's keep having fun. Let's keep training together in this gym that we have. So, but I wanted to give you all heads up so I do not blindside you all later into the summer. And yeah, but it's been fun. I am taking the episodes as I'm taking them, but this isn't goodbye. I'm still going to be around, just in a different part of the network. Um, maybe just maybe you'll hear me from time to time, but just not every week. But until that decision's made, haha, I'll still be on here, and we're closed now. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. But for what it's worth, we'll have a fresh set of rounds next week. I'm Wes Ibarra. He's Joy Villapando. Have a great night.